Welcome to the R2R Real Recognized Real Spirit Talk podcast. We are broadcasting live from the Dark Fairy Treehouse. I am Sensei Slaughter with
FaerieNomad.
This is episode 000, the Divine Feminine.
000.
And this is just a test run. But either way, we were just playing a game of telepathy. And we were looking up and talking about powers earlier today. So we're just going to keep talking about powers. And just dive in it from many points of view, as we are, as I always say, multi-dimensional. So, powers. Like we were talking about earlier, we're just diving into our different type of powers, and then even talking about them and seeing if there's already names, because once we always know there's nothing new under the sun. So seeing if there was names for the different type of powers that we displayed are coming into. Also, just practicing telepathy as an ability, since it's needed between two people, or you can be a person who just receives, I guess. But is that telepathy if you just receive?
No, I feel like to participate in telepathy, you have to be able to receive and give. I think you can start to pick up messages by simply receiving. But at some point for it to be telepathy, I think you're going to have to be able to
send. I agree, because I feel like clairvoyance is the receiving of messages.
Yeah.
Or the mediumship would be the more receiving, or the psychic, yeah.
Because telepathy is more...
they're
both
communication.
The
telly, yeah.
Yeah, they're both communication, but it's like you said, clairvoyance is more so like pulling or receiving information, gathering information, pulling information. While I feel like telepathy is more of a communication, a back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, well, we just broke that down. That was fun and quick and easy and painless. No, I like that too. So practicing that, and like something about powers that people don't really. No. Let me not even say some people. I don't actually know. Something about power. I don't know about people.
Yeah, we don't even know about people. Not a thing.
Something about powers that I'm learning are, yes, we have the ability to do telepathy because we've been working on it for a year. I would actually say, that's a whole other topic. I was going to talk about, say, unconsciously, subconscious, and conscious, because I had a come to Jesus moment about the unconscious. I was like, what is that? But that's a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah, I've been tapping into the unconscious lately,
too. Lord, not even trying to go there.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. The unconscious. Oh,
the
wow.
Depths,
Wow,
the
wow,
abyss.
wow. So, but unconsciously, we were starting to do telepathy, and then a little bit, I want to say subconsciously, we were picking up on messages from each other. Mm-hmm. And more so now we don't directly get the messages, but we know when it's a message, I would say. Or for me, I get impressions of the best one was when you was working at that event, and it was like the EDM type event, mm-hmm. and it was Alice in Wonderland, and I just kept getting Alice in Wonderland impressions, and then when you told me you were there, I was like, oh no, I knew you were there. Like, I was seeing it, but not knowing that it was you, or that's why I was seeing it. That's what I mean by, like, I'm more conscious of it, being though I was like, okay, this isn't for me, this is me just being told something.
Yeah.
Most likely about you, because you're the only person who's really, like, sending out messages for a reason, with a reason. So,
yeah. The funniest thing is I would have told you about the EDM event, but I felt compelled as well. So I feel like for me with the telepathy, and it's starting off a little bit more subconscious, I would just know you were. I wouldn't know like consciously that you were sending messages, but then I would kind of ask you something, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I was sending that." So I was going to tell you about Alice in Wonderland anyway, but I think I also was receiving a message that compelled me to even communicate it to you because I already knew that you knew.
So you were like just confirming.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really say what I knew. Yeah. And I actually had a friend do that for me. Me and her we wanted to practice as well. So like she had me, or she said she wrote down a number in her phone. And I was just going to pick it up and then I was supposed to text her. Well, I started thinking of the number, like, in that moment, but then we went our separate ways. Mm-hmm. And she lived across the country on the East Coast, so, like, there was a distance there. And so I actually thought of the number, never texted it to her. And then next time we were talking, which was, like, I want to say months later, weeks later for sure. She was like, oh, yeah, I had a dream. My guy came in. He just said the number. He said, tell Dominic, and then he said the number. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's the number I was thinking for the thing. And then she looked on the phone, and it was the number. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I be thinking things, and then I'll be bringing them up. It's like, all right, it's like, Alice in Wonderland, is that you? I didn't start doing stuff like that. Like, I'm getting an impression. Is this coming from you? Yeah. So they had to send the number back through her to tell me. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's the number I thought. Because then I even wrote in my phone that that's the number that I had chosen, so I screenshotted that to her. So, yeah. I be getting them. I just don't be knowing.
Yeah, and that's how I am too. It's like it's now kind of honing in on it and getting it in alignment because, like you said, be getting the messages, and now I'm even being able to send, but knowing when, and also, like you said, knowing where the impression is coming from and who, because that's a big one.
And that's also why when we were practicing, I was just like getting used to your energy and knowing, oh, this message is coming from him because he feels like this. Yeah. And energy is subtle, so like I have to like really tap in and not be so in my energy to perceive someone else's energy. Yeah. And I don't think anyone knows how to perceive someone else's energy. I know we talk about reading energy and like talk about read the energy in the room and stuff like that, but I feel like we more taking still physical reactions or we do more body language reading, and that does give off an energy of its own, but it's still more of a physical thing than like, I mean, you can read someone's energy as cold, but I feel like cold and hot energies are so extreme that they are easy to read. And this one that I'm talking about coming from you, it's like, I'm not expecting it. Mm-hmm. And you're not in any vicinity for me to pick up on other cues from you, so I need to be able to know what you feel
the
like.
actual energy and not, like you said,
literally
put
the
those
actual
pieces
energy
together.
like with no yes.
And then I understand where you're coming from with the physical, because even though when I say I could read read a room or read energy, a lot of the time for me it really isn't like the physical behaviors and stuff like that, but it is something a little bit more under the surface, but at the same time it is still something that is physical. So you said you don't want to talk about the unconscious, but I feel like, because like you said, you're never knowing what the unconscious perception is going on. Mm-hmm. So it's like you can do so much reading, but it's always still surface level, even if it's underneath the surface. Mm-hmm. I feel like. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so within honing our skills, we've actually been speaking about how we're sending the messages to each other and trying different methods, seeing which one works, seeing how we feel to receive, how are we opening, because since we're never taught anything about energy, all this is literally us. And even when it comes to studying and working on your energy and connecting with stuff, that's all we do. We never learn, or I haven't seen anything that actually talks about, I mean, kind of in like some like sexual books, but like that's still with a physically intimate partner. Like this is at that level. And it's actually better that way because we're actually able to pick up sensitive energies and not be in contact, which is the whole point of telepathy. Yeah. So, and also you want to be able to do this with multiple people or just like get messages and send messages to different people.
And have the channels be clear.
Yeah, and you're not trying to touch everybody. So, right? Like they can have your number, not your body. Yeah. So, this is that. And still, even within the sexual books, I still don't get this is how you feel this person energy. That one still gives you physical cues, and there's still the human element in the room because it's a 3D. It's now you start dealing with a 3D physical being there present, and this is all about not being present. Literally not being present. So like, how am I getting this message to you? How are you sending it? And literally, you're right in front of me, and we weren't like 100% each time. So, but when we were, and even the moment I was like, oh, trust yourself. Because I knew I was thinking things, and I was like, I already know how he's thinking about something, and blah blah blah. Like it's knowing your person, so that you can know how to send their cues. But then that's not always it, because they're trying to know you, and like, how would he send messages to me?
Yeah, and that's where with me, like closing my eyes and having that feeling still of the other person being there, even though you're getting this clear, like, because sometimes I really would, it was keeping the channel clear for me, because it was like that physical energy of a person being in front of you would kind of sometimes get in the way, and that physical impression you're talking about that you will get in the sex books kind of like lingers when you don't even want it to be there. And I feel like now we're having to work through like not always being so hypersensitive of that physical energy that's there at times. Mm-hmm. And that was hard for me, because it would be like I would be getting clear channel, and then all of a sudden that would kind of be lingering in the background, and I'm like trying to cut my channel out. And then it would feel, and then trying to get the channel clear again, sometimes it's like, oh, you don't want to have to like be forcing that. You don't want to try and force the channel to be clear again. So yeah.
That, definitely that. Because I was thinking that we do it at a close distance because we're still on the couch together, and we've never tried too far apart. So maybe trying it a little bit further apart to just, because I can still physically feel it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So maybe trying that. And also keeping the channel clear and not having it's so many levels. There's so many levels you have to break down. One, keeping your mind clear, and that's just, no, with something like this, it's different. It's difficult because you're keeping your mind clear, but then you don't want to clear out the message. And then, and then keeping your mind clear from just like, you know, the clutter that be coming in there whenever we're trying to do stuff, something like that. And also, it really comes down to perceiving the message, because I'm sure on some level, every time we get it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's always coming through. It's just not, and like, even when we did the reverse one with the pink and blue, it's always coming through. We just have to learn how to decode it. Mm-hmm. And that's the real...
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like trying to keep your... like putting your consciousness in a space that is just not used to standing still in. So... And like getting comfortable standing still in there, like you said, to get that message. Yeah, that's definitely... And then also I was seeing... Like, I feel like experimenting with different... Since everybody's different and everybody receives things different, and everybody even has different body language, so different things. Because I remember, like, in the beginning, I was kind of, like, facing away from you, and then I would have, like, my hands like this, and then I have my hands down, and I was getting clearer channels when I have my hands up, even if it's just a symbol or a representation, just by having the hands up. And even just, like, the power of facing you and actually, like, still having your eyes direct towards somebody. It's, like, I don't know, I think it helps to keep the consciousness in that standstill space. Mm-hmm. And like when you're sending it too, there's so many different lanes you can go through, especially when it's a friend or somebody you know, because it's just like, okay, how I send messages anyway sometimes can be abstract. So then sometimes I'm trying to send it to you through an abstract way, or I'm trying to send it to you like the bare bones basic way. And I'm just like trying to orient my feet when it comes to like how I tap into the telepathy.
Right, yeah. And that's the thing. We all have a different way of doing it. And it's just like, okay, but like, so even going back to Alice in Wonderland, I just remembered Alice in Wonderland, right? But I know it didn't feel like me. But even other things that come through, because we've had a few of them. other things that's come through. I just know it's not me having this thought.
Like when we did the journey and you were like, something whimsical.
That's literally
it's not
where
me.
my mind
Little
went
people.
to. I was like, oh, that's not me. Not maybe, but it's definitely having the discernment and the ability to be like, that's not me. This thought isn't me. And then, see, that goes into many levels, because now you're just like, oh, well, I'm having these thoughts, and somebody can be sending me a message, and I'm thinking my mind's just having random thoughts, or, I don't know, this diving some shadow work, depending on what message being sent. Now I'm thinking of some shadow work lessons coming through.
Yeah, like, to be honest, that's the first thing I thought of. Because even when we be talking about like the ethers and sometimes getting messages from the collective, and how when we were doing like deep healing and having to like decipher between, okay, messages for the collective and messages specifically for me. It definitely bleeds over into that.
It's so many like
what? And then like you said, just thoughts, because you can also have just genuine thoughts that has nothing to do with the collective or you, or thoughts that have to do with you. Thoughts that have to do with the collective.
Right. The message someone's sending me is for myself and the collective. Like, it could be a lot. It could be it all. And I'm just like, come again? So, and then like, I knowing, yeah, I'm gonna say that. I know that the ancients were doing this seamlessly, so I'm just like, it's not, it can be done.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be done. And it's really just attuning your mind to it. And the fact that we're starting off at this level having a constant, so we're either using colors or we're either using numbers, and when it comes to even keeping that constant, we're not using like a plethora of colors. We're using like a basic 7, and then we're using the number 0 through 9. So like it's keeping it. Our minds don't have far to stray, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, the message and we've only so far only done colors with colors and numbers. No, we haven't mixed them or anything yet. So I'm just like, our mind, and that's what I wanted to get to. I was like, if we get to 3, we're gonna start doing that just to practice. I just wanted to have fun, but keeping our minds like, okay, we're gonna get a message about a color, like we're, you know, so like we don't have far to look or feel. But even with that, I feel like I know this was the first time that we did this, like back whenever we first did this.
It was low-key months ago, like months ago.
That about how I was feeling the colors. We were even like talking about the different ways we were perceiving it at that point, and how like I was just like, oh, this is coming in because I'm having a blank canvas and I'm just letting the color light up my face. And even that blue did that today, where I was like, oh, you was like see or feel. I was like, oh, it took over the view. The color I have disappeared.
Yeah.
And for it to be right, I was like, okay, yes. But even in that moment, because even for that one, I had a color in mind, I guess I had a color in mind because it was the one that came up, and I was gonna go with it until that other one took over. And I'm just like, so what was different about? We may have to write this stuff down. How you sent it versus and how I received it. Because like, what was different about that one for me to have a color in mind and then to see another one take completely over?
And like, I really felt like I needed to say or see. Like, I needed to add it because I was like, oh, we've been saying feel the whole time, and it seemed appropriate from all of them. And then that one, I was like, horsey, because...
And honestly, when you said that, I thought, oh, that's his version of saying trust yourself.
Yeah.
Seriously, because I was seeing it. I'm telling you, it swam in. The blue swam in and just took over. And I was like... And when you said that, I was like...
Yeah, and that's when the subtle telepathy comes within the telepathy exercise. We have done a bunch of times, but yeah.
Yeah. So, what? Like, how do you master that? But so that's one power. As far as one power that we're actually able to wield down here so far, and I would call that power because there's levels. So we have our divinations, and I guess we can jump into that in a second. But like, I would call that one. Oh, that's definitely one of the big 3. Yes, one of the big 3. So teleportation, that's the ultimate one. You know, once you actually master the body, and that's the one where you master the mind. You have to, because you're controlling all your molecules at once. Yeah. To like, yeah, or atoms, I should say, all your atoms at once. and individually at the same time, all with your mind. But telekinesis and telepathy are the ones that can be done in this frequency, right? Like, because people can do it. Telekinesis not to like they not lifting up cars and shit with their mind yet. They're not there. But they can move a piece of paper. Make something spin real quick. Like it's levels to it.
Paper, yeah.
But telepathy, I think telepathy I know is the one that can go off, right? And it's the one you never hear no one talk about, and I see why now. You have to really train for it. Like, it's the one we can do. It's the one we're doing naturally. Where like, oh, I felt this person. I thought about this person. And they called me. Yeah, like people say that all the time. But it's like, oh, well, if you train that, you know what they want to call you about already. Because they send that frequency out. Like, oh, I need to call her about blah 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 blah. It's just like,
yeah.
So you need to know whether or not you want to answer that phone.
Yeah.
Like, for real, and that's what I want to get to as well. But
yeah. So when it comes to other powers like the teleportation and the telekinesis, how do you think, like down here, how you were just saying? Because I totally agree with you when it comes to like something that you like. Telepathy is something you could really go off down here, and then those other ones are like, I mean, but it's like, why do you think it's that way? And do you think it has to do with the restricted mindsets around in that like occupy this space and occupy this plane, like this realm, or like why?
For why we can't tap into telekinesis, I'm gonna say telekinesis, teleportation. Yeah,
because teleportation. I'm sorry, that one's really feeling like that could go.
Yeah, no, okay, so that actually fits perfectly into what you asked, because what you said, the mindset. That's why we can't teleport. Because I'm sticking to that. If we all believe something's real, then it's real. So if we all believe we can teleport, if everyone wholeheartedly believe tonight that we could all, tomorrow's January 16th, that we all got this magic powers to teleport, we will wake up and be able to teleport. If everyone on this planet did that, we would.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's the mindset.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
It's that doubt. It's like, no, I don't think we can. If one person doubted it would fuck us all up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's like, tomorrow, I don't think that's going to happen. And everybody's believing, it's like, and then if one person hears them doubt it, then that's low key in their mind now. Doubt spreads like wildfire. So yeah, they're fucking it up for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that telepathy is a small thing that people believe because of things like, oh, I thought of that person, blah blah blah. So that it's not limiting it in us to go to where we can take it to actually being like talking in our heads to each other.
Yeah.
Telekinesis. I honestly think that's just that's like our telepathy. Like, we just have to train it. We would have to train, but it would be literally like a mind training. And I think that people, when they think of telekinesis and moving something, they start squinting their face and trying to like make their mind do it that way. They strain themselves. And telekinesis is aerokinesis, and it's a air element thing. You have to like connect with air spirits and shit like that, and like become the air, because you're all of it. So like, why are you trying to move something that you are? Like, it's like moving your hand, make it a party,
Yeah.
And that means becoming, connecting to a lot of things around you, and that goes back. And I think that's why telepathy as a starter is the not lower tier, because they're all the same, but like a starter is the easiest one to start, because it helps you develop. It's like that Reiki level 3. It's the level 1. So level 1, it's Reiki level 1. Because you learn to feel energy. You learn to get sensitive to energy, because you need to receive these messages. And then you move up to telekinesis, because you take that energy that you are and you can blend it with something else, harmonize with something else and become it and move it as if it was attached to you already. And then once you do that, you connect back to yourself, and then you can teleport all over this bitch.
Okay, so how you said telepathy, you like, I don't want to say it's lower tier, but instantly when you said that, so the reason I'm looking on the computer is because how we're talking about these 3 powers, and then when I think about magic, so what do you find there to be a difference between the powers we're talking about right now and magical powers? Or do you believe those to be a part of magical powers?
I definitely think they're a part of magical powers, but they're more on the physical. I mean, telepathy can't see, but like they're more of the physical powers. Because when I think of magical powers, I guess I blend them with spiritual powers. The phrase, I guess.
Because this was the one that was getting me this section. And how you just said spiritual powers, because that's what I'm thinking of. There's these classifications of powers, and I didn't really think about all of that until we started talking right now. And we instantly went to because those to me are like the standard like boss, like big dick powers. I'm sorry, when you think about telepathy, teleportation, and telekinesis. So then me doing my magical journey and my spiritual journey, it's like have focused mainly on like
so I agree with where you're going. Those would be magical powers to me. So stuff like summoning, more of things that people would be like witchy things are like magical spiritual powers to me. And these are these are the big dick, because these are the physical ones. These are the more physical ones. These are taking the spiritual and manifesting it in the physical ones. So yeah, I agree. These are the big dick ones. And we're right on the big dick.
No, you're right. Okay, I'm glad we put that into perspective, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, no, these are big dick, because you're right. Like, because a lot of, especially for us, like the magical powers and the spiritual powers, like, we want big dick energy. Right. So it's like you said, it's like we're utilizing those powers and mashing it together, bringing it down and mashing it together and like producing a physical,
Yeah, because we've gotten past that first level of connecting to energy.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how you do telepathy. We started saying like we got messages from each other. We were already in our spiritual bag by even doing that and like deciphering them. It's like, okay, this is coming from you. I already need to send him this. Like, that's us in our spiritual. It's like, okay, now bring it down even lower, even lower. So we have big energy on both levels. Like, we're bringing it in the 3D, which is something that a lot of people aren't doing. But also we've like mastered an aspect of like higher consciousness, which is takes time and energy and like actual training. So that's the real big dick shit. So we're really swinging out here.
Yeah. Okay.
So those, and then that takes us to the actual spiritual powers, which is probably the scary ones for people. I would be more scared of someone telepathy on my ass and read my mind.
That sounds like it's kind of funny how we be scared of the spiritual powers like that.
Like that's the divination, the tarot, the reading. I guess is the basic term. Being able to read through different forms. As we saw, you can read through a fucking fan blade at this point. So, also, I mean, during channeling, that's a big one. Mediumship. I would say spirit work, and when I say that, I mean working with actual spirits. What else? I don't know.
I work a lot with like enchantments and like.
Oh, what are enchantments?
So that's it's kind of like magnetism, but for me it's similar to possession. So I guess a form of channeling too, but like for me it'll be enchanting, because an enchantment is more of like attracting or magnetizing, but for me it'll be like enchantment with spirits or elementals or and then kind of magnetizing them to me, and it would be like a form of a possession. But yeah.
And what do you do with it?
Me?
Or how does it like benefit you? Actually, and you said the word enchantment, and that took
because that's why it's funny with powers. Because
I'm like, so I don't even know what enchantment is, and I'm glad that I asked that because I still don't know.
Yeah, because that's what I for me with powers. So spiritual and magical powers they're not necessarily. I don't even see it like that, like benefit. So it's interesting because when I channel. Or I actually want to just look at this real quick in my, because a lot of these, but like conjuration, of course there is a benefit and a result, like an intended result. But for me, it's not even about actually conjuring and wielding like an actual tangible thing. And then the same thing with like divination, like extrasensory for like perception and divination, like forms of divination. I don't know. A lot of the time, like I said, it's an enchantment. It's like me being possessed by a spirit and acting out a duty or fulfilling a task. And it's not necessarily for my benefit. The whole benefit is that I'm in tune with it and I move with it and we work with it and I'm it. So I don't know. And then even definitely the power of illusion is something I would say kind of goes hand in hand with enchantment. Powers with like, so elemental manipulation. And then even forms of transmutation, even though my transmutation is mainly like healing, it's still... So I don't know, for me it's like the benefit is more so just the simple fact that I'm living my true essence and it's bringing me peace, it's helping me to create and express my creativity. And I don't know, to me that it truly is healing, like all of it, and that's what the powers are. So even though I'm trying to master like things like telepathy and things like being able to just kind of pull down information and just know something, or even conjure like let's say a living space or something, I don't know, for me the whole benefit is simply that I have the power to tap in and work with and move with these things. So yeah. So the benefit for anything to me is just the simple fact that it brings me peace. It's my true essence. It's tapping into what I at least feel I need to tap into even be okay here, to be honest.
I feel that.
So for me, it really always is rooted in healing, because otherwise I wouldn't ever gone on the path. I wouldn't have ever cared. I wouldn't have even... And even when I think about spiritual power, it's really just like, I'm not going to use the word perfecting a craft, but like, that's kind of energy I'm going for, perfecting how I walk, how I move with my spirit. So,
yeah.
Or improving, I guess.
I would say the spiritual powers, to start off with, would be like ESP, or the clairs, extrasensory perception, more so clairaudient. And then when I think about the benefit, it honestly is just helping me grow in my... Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what they're for, right? To help you grow in your spiritual path, because that's how I know, like through clairaudience, is how I know my roommate's on his way back home. Yeah.
Yeah, it like allows you to create the space to, like you said, move in your spiritual self without all that extra ness.
And that and even like clairvoyance goes to being able to perceive the energy in the room. Sometimes even before you walk into a room.
Yeah.
Because it's your aura's out there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean that will go with the name of spiritual powers. Okay. So to that degree, I would separate the word spiritual powers and magical powers. Because magical powers, I would say, is like conjuring something. And I mean that in like the three.
Like conjuring,
summoning, yeah. Bringing, okay. Or like doing talismans, stuff like that. Amulets. So magical powers maybe, for me, is bringing spirit into the 3D. And then the big dick powers are mastering the 3D. And then spiritual powers are like the growing on your spiritual path and the healing. They help develop that. Okay, so that's 3 categories.
Yeah, because even when I was thinking about transmutation, because I could see transmutation being spiritual and a magical one, but it depends on whether it's like internal transmutation or some sort of transmutation that you're like living outside of you. So, yeah. The spiritual powers are it really is all about your own, like...
Yeah, that
right.
makes sense.
And then even I think a magical powers, like you said, is really just for me, it's like to aid in my in my spirituality. So it's like, oh, if I'm going to conjure something, or like you said, just even for me channeling, it'll be to bring internal ease.
Yeah.
Or to like,
or bring information. Yeah, it's honestly, more so when channeling, it's bringing down information, and it's never, and I'm using this word in a 3D sense. So it's never valuable information, meaning like it's not gonna help you get money or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it's like you're not gonna channel. Okay, wake up today and go play the lottery. These like, I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but
but like you would get that more in a dream or something. Like it's that. Yeah, that's like a message. Like one of your clairs coming through. Like channeling information out is gonna be like for healing.
Yeah.
Or for like like get away from this person. Like it's not. Yeah.
Or tapping into, like you said, some true, deep spiritual shit that's beyond. Yeah,
because I'm thinking anytime I like powers as far as like how to channel is like I speak in tongues. So like anytime I start speaking in tongues, when I can understand what I'm saying, and I mean that in a mind's eye type of way, not verbally, it's never for. Sometimes I get direction on how to do something in the 3D, meaning, but it's still more like reassurance or something.
Yeah, because I get a lot of direction, but like you said, it's like reassurance, or for me, it'll be like very, like you said, just abstract direction, not necessarily do boop boop.
Yeah.
And that's why I know the word. That's why I don't really use it very much. But possession scares people because that just makes them think they're being overtaken by something. But for me, channeling it comes through how you said tongues. It comes through possession. Legitimately, I enchant and then I become possessed. And then a lot of the time I can channel through just me, but it's aspects of me that'll either have an information or like be risen out or gain information in.
That's the part that I feel when there's different types of possessions, like a full possession, a partial possession where you're like you're still there. Like I wish I knew. Like I think there's 3. Why is there always 3 levels of 3? There's 3 types, and so like when I channel, and I mean through tongues, there is the possession as well. Because usually when I was first doing it, I was like, you hear him? Like when they were coming out. Or like when I first started, I was channeling out like ancestors and they were talking through me, and I remember, you're in the blood. Like I will call that to this day. I remember that. So I understand that because it really does feel like an energy. Or I know I get hot. And I'm just like, I'm not walking like. Sometimes I'll start walking different, or like a lot of hand movements.
Yeah, there's definitely a shift. So regardless of if you want to claim it to be possession or like, there is an energetic. And
that's how I feel about when you said aspects of myself coming out, because I was just like, yeah, these are all me, and they're just coming through me now. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is like also depending on like powers, depending on what you are, in the sense of like, I know I can be a medium and I participate in mediumship. So there are people who channel and they're not a medium. They don't want to be a medium. They're not a mediumship. So I don't know. It's interesting too, because like you said, sometimes the benefit is simply, like you said, being that channel for that information that needed to just be out.
Yeah. I wish I knew the difference between all them words, but I fucking don't. I do not have time.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that's why you know the realness, because I mean all those words are doing is, like we said, describing something that you're already, and we see how they get so nuanced, because we'll say a word and then it's like, oh, my channeling, your channeling, or it'd be sounding different, but it's the same. So it's like, I don't think those words, like, they just give some sort of direction with it, but it's what you do.
It's honestly what Yes. Yeah.
And you will. That's the weird thing about powers too. Is it's like you can't really describe to somebody either what each individual one feels like, nor it's like we can't even talk right now on like being a master of telepathy or something. So you know what I mean? But even if you are a master, it's like you can't really describe to somebody what that even is, feels like. Yeah. So for me, like, and I'm pretty sure it may have been the same for you. It's like, for me, powers, it wasn't like, I got powers. Like, I don't know, you know how it comes up sometimes to see a movie or something. And I feel like it can be like that for some people. But for me, it's like, realizing I'm like have a power, and I'm like, oh, I've had a power, or it's like the power is finally like unlocked. I don't know, it's like some sort of epiphany, it's some sort of like realization. You can't really describe how it feels.
Like it dawns upon you.
Yeah.
That's what I keep getting. Like it's like you have a dopey-eyed look, like holy shit, I can do that. But it's nothing like you say. It's no great awakening. It's like fuck yeah. Like when we get shit right from doing it, or you use your ability.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you use it on purpose or consciously. You're like, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this, and it came through like this. Like, then you have your yippee-ki-yay moment, but, like, when you realize that you can do it, or it starts coming through slowly, because I remember the first time I spoke in tongues, and I think I told you, I was like, I felt something answer me.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that feeling, something behind me, and I say something, and people get nervous, and it wasn't feeling that type of feeling. I just knew I was being answered through me speaking like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit, I can do this. Yeah. And then, ever since then, it was just, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of all the powers, even how we were talking about telepathy and how it requires effort and practice, it's like, that's what I'm realizing with all the powers. So, I don't know, it's going to take persistence on some level. So it's like, even before you started speaking tongues, however you speak tongues, you were probably maybe experimenting with different sounds that were, and you may have not even known, you were experimenting with certain inflections and tones, and then all of a sudden it came together. It's kind of like you said, I don't know, sometimes it's like that riding a bike analogy. It's like, oh, you really just, all of a sudden you just get it.
Yeah, no, it really is.
But it's like, it took work and steps, but once you get it, you're still like, yeah, I worked my ass off, but what the fuck? Like,
it's not only that, oh, this is perfect. It's not only that, because we're getting to the no book shit. Like, it's not only that, there's literally no books that tell you about it. And, like, there's people, like, because when I first was learning it, like you said, different inflections, like, studying different languages. You know me. I went heavy into, like, learning all these languages and letters and how to say all these different words. And then, because I was breaking, in order to tap, this is what I really want to, like, do maybe a YouTube video on, is how to tap into tongues, because you have to break your native tongue first. Mm-hmm. Like, that's literally what I had to do. They was just like, start talking, to start saying a random fucking sentence, to start talking, and it's hard because you want to correct the sentence, you want it to make sense.
Keep it
like,
structured.
Yeah, things like, no, just start talking, and like jumble up them words, but not on purpose. You just start talking.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like run. It's literally like riding a bike, or like run, like Forrest Gump when he has his braces on his legs and he starts running. They break off. It's like that.
Off.
It's like, keep fucking going.
Yeah, because you're right, breaking your native tongue. Because it's like you have to break. Because every language has limited number of sounds, limited number. Some languages, it's like you don't even make that sound. So
yeah. Thank you, because I roll my R's like none other when I speak in. I'm talking about beautifully roll my R's, and then try to get me to do some Spanish. Adoroso. Oh, it's kind of there, but like, it's not deep. Like, it's not sexy like when I'm in tongues. When I'm in tongues, I'm just like, who the fuck is speaking? How's my R's? I'm so serious. So yeah, it's really, first step. So it's like, that's even a mindset thing. Like, in order to really, like you said earlier, in order to bring them powers, it's like, you're not going to get your powers if your mind ain't a certain spot, because you can't even, they're not giving you the powers if your mind ain't there.
Yeah. Like they're just not. Like, you have, the channels won't be able to spark nothing.
Yeah, that spark, that flame, that fire magic. Not that fire at all. Damn, what else was it? Something after that. Training them. And it's definitely the training them. Oh, the book. So like I said, there was no book 4 tongues. And like, so when I was looking it up, there was like it's called glossaria or something like that's what speaking in tongues is. If you look it up, and since they do that in the Christian faith, it's there. So it's like glossaria. So I was trying to learn it, and then I was even on like YouTube learning about glossaria.
Mm-hmm.
And they were I was listening to some people speaking tongues. I was like, this ain't.
Not hitting.
Not hitting, and like, but I was trying to find books on how to do it, and the books were talking about breaking your language and just trusting what you hear, right? Because you're not gonna hear it's not gonna sound like what you know, blah blah blah, and just breaking your mind. But I don't know. I was still at that point where like the Christian undertone wasn't hidden, so I was just like, I need to move on. So then I learned about light language, which is like. Is that the Pleiadians type of thing? And like I was hearing it and I was understanding, and like a lot of stuff on YouTube with light language is them sending you like light codes and stuff, and like for different reasons, different affirmations they can say through the tongues, which I've done for myself, so I understand it. So basically it's like saying an affirmation in tongues. Like you basically having an intention of what you want. So it's like, oh, I want to send this person healing energy. And then just thinking that and then start speaking in tongues. So that's what that was. But that wasn't hidden either. And ever since I tapped into my tongues, they have never called it like language. Mine is the divine tongue, serpent's tongue. They never say, I've never called it no light language. So that's just me. But so I was watching that, but none of those were hidden. It was really just me doing my own thing. And then people are probably like, oh, like, what's this, like, why is tongues a thing? I had to learn about vibration. I had to learn what they were doing with vibration and, like, ancient times and how powerful that is. How powerful our, like, throat chakra is, our Heka, Hekau, things like that, because why am I speaking in this? And what is it doing for me? Because I don't speak it around anyone, so I'm not trying to be cool. You know what I mean? So I literally do this.
Can't communicate with them.
And yeah, I can't communicate with shit. So what am I doing this for? And then once I got to the point of stop trying to find a book and literally kept hearing, just speak in tongues. And then when I did that, and then the ancestors were coming through, and they were just like talking to me, and like you said, when you start channeling, it's no physical shit. They were like boosting me up, you know, like letting me know just to trust myself and stuff like that, and just like, and that's what I use tongues for now. Still, it's just like start speaking it if I need to release energy. It's pure chaos. Oh, that chaos magic. That's the purest form of magic. Yeah. It's that chaos magic. It's like, you don't need to know what it's for. You have the ability to do it, so just do it. And boom.
And I think it's going to evolve. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
And it's going to evolve, because that's the thing, too, is we're still just scratching the surface on a lot of this stuff. And I feel like, especially with spiritual and magical powers, the longer and the more, the deeper you go into it, that, like you said, it's not some sort of 3D purpose. So the purpose comes and, like, the purpose is found. So, I don't know. I think you have to release even seeking what the point is to find the point with a lot of these powers. For real.
And that's what I was about to say about channeling, being a channel. It's just like, you have the ability to do it, so just do it. You know what I mean? We gave you this ability, so use it. You know, use your gifts. So I agree with that. And also, something about the purpose, because I was about to say channeling and evolution. It was really something about growing with this and how mine has grown, but also about using it for a reason. Oh, logic. Yes. Thank you. Like how we broke the mold earlier with the pink and blue, how like it defied logic, but it made sense. And so like when you think of logic, that's masculine energy. And spiritual energy and magic is all feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot have no logic here. So that's literally number one. If you're trying to master these powers, lose all logic. It's not logical for us to be able to levitate. It's not logical for us to communicate with each other through our mouths, lose the logic.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true, because I'm thinking, I instantly thought telekinesis, and I'm like, with my big dick energy one, it's like, no, you really have to lose this logic, and it's like, I feel like even though they have immediate purposes and stuff, even those ones, I think are going to blow our minds with what they actually can be, like, used, and like...
Yes, because yes.
And our powers make us feel good, so, like, why not do it? Like you said, I don't know, I feel... If I didn't channel, like, if I, like, tapped into channeling and then I just stopped doing it, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, sometimes it can be energetically taxing, but it's, like, it's not, like, you're being sucked of energy, you're utilizing energy, so I don't know, the powers, I think they all have the ability to prove to have such a greater benefit than we could ever even think of it by just doing it, because it actually nourishes our spirits and our souls to do it. Because, defy logic. I'm sorry, telekinesis, teleportation, that shit is hella possible.
Very much so.
And then, like you said, the reasons, I guarantee you, we gonna find so many way more valuable reasons than you would even, than this shit could ever tell us on the internet.
And something I'm personally doing is I've been doing this for a while, is disconnecting what we see as powers on TV. Because so there's this meme or something, was like, Disney Channel lied to us about turning 16. When I turned 16, and how I told you, when I turned 16, I was at home, and at my birth time, I, like, acted like I got my powers, and I shook out the chair and fell on the floor. I know, my shit went off. Like, it's your mindset. At 16, I got my fucking powers. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this since I was, like, much younger, but no, at 16, my shit went off.
My shit went
off. I was watching, that Teen Witch shit, and she turned 16. I was all about the age 16. I got my fucking powers. I did not.
So here for that.
Who said you didn't, just because, and that's back to the movies.
I'm sorry. Who said that's the joke? They be having the joke on us half the times, because who said you didn't? And then you, over here subscribing to the fact that you did, and so now y'all really don't
right? But
you
also,
deny them shit.
We're, so invested in movies, when people get their powers, they're automatically able to make shit move with their mind.
And yield it and be
and do all these things. It's just no, that's the movie. You have to see the real from the fake. That's why we're called real to real. You have to see the real from the fake.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for checking in and chilling with us at the Dark Fairy Treehouse. We had a good time. Hope you did too. Until then, me and Faerie will be exploring the realms. Be sure to check in with us on our Instagram at QKEPresentZ with the Z. And also email us if you have any questions, any topics you'd like us to discuss, and also any feedback on the recent episodes you just listened to, especially if you have your own stories that you've encountered along your spiritual journey. Email us at QKEPresentZ with a Z at gmail.com. Thank you, and until next time.